Nsem-Pii TV nie.
Finance Minister Forcing Egusua working can budget no. Na Nsem ni bi a waka no abusua Nsem-Pii TV. Yatwe bi agwa maso a yede bi eba besom atiefo. Yede kan e de besom mo se donkuma no de atimu apie afiri ho. Womo resinti a womo pie afiri ho e de to speaker nim ma speaker so se wate womo betimu akwa womo sesa womo ne magina a womo atimu apie afiri ho. Na Finance Minister Forcing budget no oguso a working kan anya asam ketwa na kakra abate na mede bi somatiefo no de abusua eye brain games nko a MPP ni yesi MPP yesi nko a na womo de egu proso a anya asam ketwa abusua yankwe na wankasa kokoti owura Forcing abra working can budget no wo shegana fo nyina abo say working can budget no 10 o'clock and so wo pim be 2 o'clock yanko na kokoti TV yeba Nsem-Pii TV Unity 4 Ebetoso.
The Ghana city has demonstrated exceptional resilience and strength in recent months. At the end of June 2025, the Ghana city appreciated by 42.6% against the US dollar, 30.3% against the British pound, and 25.6% against the euro. This is a significant reversal compared to the same period in 2024 when the city depreciated by 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16.0% respectively. Mr. Speaker, so far we have almost reversed all the city depreciations in the year 2022, 2023, and 2024. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to note that it is the first time that this level of appreciation has been recorded in the 60 years history of the Ghana city. Rating agencies, which once classified our sovereign creditworthiness as junk, are beginning to upgrade our ratings. Fitch Ratings upgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to B- with a stable outlook from restricted default on the 17th of June 2025. The IMF program is back on track with the successful conclusion of the fourth review by the IMF Executive Board on the 7th of July 2025, which immediately triggered the disbursement of $367 million United States dollars. Right, Honorable Speaker, beyond the numbers, this is a story of sound leadership, better economic management, and a restoration of hope to a nation once in despair. Let me, on behalf of the President John Mahama, sincerely thank the people of Ghana for their trust, patience, and continued support. We do not take your sacrifice for granted. Mr. Speaker, this government did not come to simply manage the decline. We came to reverse it and reset our country. The gains of these first 6 months are just the beginning. Mr. Speaker, these early successes only encourages us to stay the focus, stay disciplined, and continue to do more for the people of Ghana. There is still a long road ahead, but our steps are now steadier. Our direction clearer, and the national spirit has been lifted with the gradual restoration of hope in our democracy. We have moved from promises to purpose, from ineptitude to action, and from distress to relief. Mr. Speaker, we have established policy credibility and restored credit worthiness. Right, Honorable Speaker, the rest of my presentation will focus on 4 areas: macroeconomic performance for the first 6 months of 2025, the status of Ghana's debt restructuring, and the status of implementation of key government programs. Before I conclude, macroeconomic performance, Mr. Speaker, for January to June 2025. Mr. Speaker, the first half of 2025 has demonstrated our government commitment to economic recovery. Through prudent fiscal management, sound monetary policies, effective structural reforms, and strategic investment, we are laying a solid foundation for sustainable growth and shared prosperity. To put the assessment of the economy in the first half of 2025 in a proper perspective, it will be useful to restate the ambitious yet attainable macroeconomic target we set for ourselves for the year 2025. The Speaker, we set for ourselves an overall real GDP growth of at least 4%, non-oil real GDP growth of at least 4.8%, end-year inflation rate of at least 11.9%, primary balance on commitment basis at a surplus of 1.5% of GDP, and gross international reserves covering not less than 3 months of import cover. Right Honorable Speaker, I now take you to the real sector. Mr. Speaker, despite global economic uncertainties, Ghana's economy demonstrated robust growth. In the first half of 2025, the economy expanded by 5.3%, up from 4.9% in the same period of 2024, marking the highest first quarter growth since 2020. The agriculture sector led this growth with a remarkable 6.6% increase, about 3 times the growth in the first quarter of 2024. The agriculture sector growth contributed 26.4% of the overall first quarter growth. The fishing subsector grew the most at 16.4%. Mr. Speaker, the service sector constituting the largest share of the economy of 46.8% grew by 5.9% and contributed 47.9% to the overall first quarter growth, with information and communication technology leading the growth in the sector at 13.1%. Industry grew by 3.4% in the first quarter of 2025, contributing 20.6% to the overall first quarter growth. Manufacturing also posted an impressive growth of 6.6%. Right Honorable Speaker, non-oil GDP growth, the real sector, also picked up strongly, growing at 6.8% in the first quarter of 2025, compared to the growth rate of 4.3% in the same period in 2024. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, the non-oil GDP growth is the highest since 2018. It is expected that with the introduction of our 24-hour economic policy, the Big Push program, and the Agriculture for Economic Transformation program, the GDP growth will be sustained and possibly exceed the target of 4% for the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to prices. Right Honorable Speaker, we pledge to pursue the following to reduce inflation. We pledge to implement aggressive fiscal consolidation drive aimed at reducing the fiscal deficit and borrowing. Mr. Speaker, we pledge to stabilize the exchange rate to reduce inflation on items that rely on the exchange rate for pricing, such as fuel, transportation, imported sugar, rice, and cooking oil. We pledge to implement policies that target items with large weight in the CPI basket, such as transportation and utilities, to reduce their prices. We also pledge to implement, through the Bank of Ghana, to implement an appropriate monetary policy stance and use its liquidity management interventions to support the disinflation process. And finally, Mr. Speaker, we pledge to implement agriculture for economic transformation agenda to reduce food inflation. Mr. Speaker, it is instructive to note that these intentional policies announced in the 2025 budget to tame inflation are yielding massive results. Inflation pressures have eased significantly. The drastic fall in inflation is not by chance or sheer luck, but as a result of hard work and deliberate government policies. Mr. Speaker, consumer price inflation has reduced from 23.8% in December 2024 to 13.7% in June 2025. This represents a massive 10.1 percentage point decline. Similarly, producer price inflation saw a sharp decline from 26.1% in December 2024 to 5.9% in June 2025, representing a steep decline of 20.2 percentage points in just 6 months. So, Speaker, food inflation declined from 27.8% in December 2024 to 16.3% in June 2025, representing an encouraging 11.5 percentage point reduction. Non-food inflation also declined from 20.3% in December 2024 to to 11.4 in June 2025, representing 8.9 percentage point reduction. Inflation for locally produced goods and services declined from 26.4% in December 2024 to 14% in June 2025. Right, Honorable Speaker, inflation for imported items decreased from 18% in December 2024 to 12.5% in June 2025. These improvements are reflective of the effective fiscal consolidation, tight monetary policy, strong central bank reserves, and the appreciation of the Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, with this trend, we are focused and determined to achieve our end December 2025 inflation target of 11.9% ahead of schedule. Mr. Speaker, let me assure this House and the people of Ghana that things can only get better in the coming days. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to interest rate movement. Interest rates have declined, reflecting improved macro conditions. Mr. Speaker, the 91-day Treasury bill rate has reduced by 13 percentage points from 27.7% in December 2024 to 14.7% in June 2025. Similar trends were observed in the 182 days and the 364 days bills. The 182-day Treasury bill rate decreased by 13.1 percentage points from 28.43 in December 2024 to 15.34 in June 2025. The 364 Treasury bill rate also declined by 14.19 percentage points from 29.95 in December 2025 to 15.76 in June 2025. The average lending rate decreased from 30.3% in December 2024 to 27% in June 2025. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Ghana reference rate fell from 29.31% in December 2024 to 24.0% in June 2025. So, Speaker, things can only get better. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have indeed saved 4.9 billion Ghana cedis on domestic interest payment as at end June 2025 due to our prudent debt management policy. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to fiscal performance. Fiscal performance. Mr. Speaker, our fiscal discipline has yielded the needed and remarkable results so far. We have delivered below target deficit on both cash and commitment basis. We have delivered a greater than anticipated primary surplus, the core fiscal anchor. We have delivered a strong expenditure and commitment control. We have delivered robust tax revenue performance. Mr. Speaker, provisional data shows that the primary balance on commitment basis, the fiscal anchor, as at end June 2025, recorded a surplus of 1.1% of GDP, surpassing the target surplus of 0.4% of GDP set for the same period. The overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis was a deficit of 0.7% of GDP, better than the deficit target of 1.8% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, on cash basis, the overall balance recorded a deficit of 1.1% of GDP. This is significantly better than the projected deficit target of 2.4% of GDP. The primary balance on cash basis turned surplus at 0.7% of GDP against a projected deficit of 0.2% of GDP. The non-oil tax revenue, net, exceeded target by about 787 million Ghana cedis. Corporate income tax exceeded target by 555.3 million, representing 2.9% above target. Mineral royalties exceeded its target by 143 million. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, import duties fell short of target by 1.6 billion. Expenditures were contained at 109.7 billion Ghana cedis, or 7.8% of GDP. This was 14.3% below the program amount of 128 billion, or 9.1% of GDP, reflecting strong expenditure control. Mr. Mr. Speaker, primary expenditure on non-interest expenditure on commitment basis amounted to 84.3 billion or 6.0% of GDP. This is an improvement of about 13.3 billion over the target of 97.5 billion, which is 7% of our GDP. Mr. Speaker, interest payment amounted to 25.4 billion, which is 1.8% of GDP. This is below the target of 30.5 billion, which is 2.2% of GDP. And this was mainly due to lower domestic interest payment. Domestic interest payment amounted to 21.6 billion against a target of 26.5 billion, representing a reduction of 4.9 billion Ghana cedis, mainly on account of lower than planned domestic borrowing and the decline in the T-bill rates. Mr. Speaker, external interest payment amounted to 3.8 billion Ghana cedis against a target of 4 billion, due mainly to the appreciation of the Ghana cedis. Other expenditure, mainly comprising energy sector levies, transfers and energy sector payment shortfalls, amounted to 11.4 billion Ghana cedis or 8% of GDP. This was 12.7% below the target of 13.1 or 0.9% of GDP for the same period. Right Honorable Speaker, arrest clearance amounted to 4.8 billion Ghana cedis. It is important to know that there was no build-up in arrest payable during the period under review, signaling strong commitment control and fiscal discipline. Mr. Speaker, we are very different from our friends that decided to flee from the chamber. Mr. Speaker, the deficit was largely financed from domestic sources, with net domestic financing of 13.1 billion, well below the 18.7 billion target. The net foreign financing was 2.8 billion, mostly from the utilization of the 4.5 billion IMF disbursement. Mr. Speaker, between 1st of January to 6th of January, the IMF disbursement of 4.5 billion was spent before the Mahama administration took office just in 6 days. Mr. Speaker, project loan disbursement was 2.4 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, even though Ghana is relying on the domestic market for financing, we have borrowed less than we planned, signifying strong expenditure control and fiscal discipline. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a strong signal to the investor community and all stakeholders that the needed fiscal consolidation is happening here in Ghana and it will be sustained. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana is back on the international scene. Mr. Speaker, exchange rate development. Right Honorable Speaker, government commitment to implement the following measures to stabilize the exchange rate. The Speaker, we committed to establish the Ghana Gold Board to enhance the generation and accumulation of foreign exchange to support the stability of our currency. Mr. Speaker, we committed to pursue strong fiscal consolidation through the reduction in public sector spending and the fiscal deficit to reduce the pressures on the exchange rate. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana also committed to implement appropriate FX forward auction to support the stability of the cedi. And Mr. Speaker, finally, we committed that the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program will boost local production and reduce reliance on export. Right Honorable Speaker, let me state emphatically that these deliberate policies announced in the 2025 budget to stabilize the Ghana cedi are yielding massive results. The results we are witnessing are not by chance. They are the fruits of hard work, discipline, and intentional policies. Mr. Speaker, the cedi performance in the first half of the year 2025 has been impressive. The Ghana cedi experienced significant appreciation against all major trading currencies in the first 6 months of 2025. I'm happy to inform the House that our previous record, where the Ghana cedi used to trade against the US dollar at 17, is as at yesterday trading at 10.4. Mr. Speaker, similarly, the Ghana cedi, which was once trading at 21 cedis to the British pound, was trading at 14.1 as at yesterday, 23rd July 2025. Mr. Speaker, As at end June 2025, the cedi appreciated by 42.6% against the US dollar, 30.3% against the British pound, and 25.6% against the euro. This is a significant improvement over the cedi depreciation of 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16.0% against the US dollar, British pound, and the euro. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, so far, we have almost reversed all the cedi depreciation in 2022, 2023, and 2024. This level of appreciation has never happened in the history of our country. Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, fellow citizens, Ghana cedi no apeke. Cedi no apeke. Mr. Speaker, these gains are largely due to strong fiscal